Following the massive success for X2 X-Men United, the X-Men franchise was at the top of the world itself. Fans expected a third film to deliver a satisfying and epic conclusion to a trilogy. Higher stakes, bigger action, and what we really need. A great ending for the characters, and how fans would really love to see it. But unfortunately, they got one of the most divisive superhero movies of all time. And this really separated a lot of X-Men fans, including myself. What's up, guys? My name is Nate, and on this 33rd episode of The Road to Avengers Doomsday, we're taking a deep dive look into X-Men The Last Stand, a film full of big ideas, shocking moments, and some questionable choices that still spark debate to this day. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as I take you deep dive down this very controversial of an X-Men movie. So, one of the biggest changes behind the scenes was the director of the movie. And not to mention, Bryan Singer managed to do really well for X-Men 1 and 2. I mean, people really loved it. But sadly, he will not be returning to directing this third installment because Bryan Singer has already signed on another blockbuster film, Superman Returns. Hope that one did pretty well. It did not. So, instead, Marvel decided to bring in Brett Ratner as his first directorial debut. I know he did other films, but this is the best research I can pretty much say from what I'm saying in this video. And right away, fans knew something was wrong. They really see the immediate red flags. And it was for a really good reason. So the movie tried to adapt two iconic X-Men storylines, the Mutant Cure storyline and also the Dark Phoenix saga, and tried to cram both stuff into a movie. Yeah, that's when cracks began to show. And it was not small cracks, actually. It is huge cracks. And fans knew, and this was just the beginning. There is more to come. So the film follows two major plot lines. First, a pharmaceutical company in San Francisco manages to develop a cure for mutation, sparking massive debate within the mutant community. And some sees it as salvation, others sees it as an extinction for all mutants, especially for the Brotherhood of Mutants. And then there's Jean Grey, who is returning actress once again as Famke Janssen. She is back after her ultimate sacrifice from X-Men United. But this is not the one that Jean we knew. She is now the Phoenix. And instead of being layered, tragic like in the comics that we all grew up with, she's more like a ticking time bomb. Meanwhile, Magneto, played by the legendary Ian McKellen, plans to destroy the people responsible for the mutant cure and wage war against mankind. On paper, that sounds pretty incredible, but the execution, not so well. So let's talk about what does work in this movie. First off, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. He carries most of the movie, and he does pretty good performances. His connection to Jean gives the strongest moments, especially in the final act. And you also got Patrick Stewart returning as Professor X. Even with some limited screen time, his presence is more powerful. Even in the early scenes of the movie, where there was a de-aging for him and Ian McKellen. Pretty revolutionary how CGI can use to de-aging stuff. But here is the issue, you guys. A lot of the characters were completely sidelined. First off, Cyclops with returning actor James Marsden, he was completely sidelined from 211. Not only was he unalived off screen after being reunited with Jean, but James Marsden had to leave the door to do Superman Returns. Rogue was barely underdeveloped, and I feel bad for actress Anna Paquin, who really just got a really bad script. She wanted to give her powers, and we don't see her for the rest of the movie until the last few minutes. And yeah, I really do feel bad for Rogue. And Storm, I really can't say this, but she felt very underdeveloped. And she just, despite a new look, I feel like she didn't get much of the role to lead the secondary leadership. And although we got some new additions to the movie like Angel and also Beast played by Kelsey Grammer, but it was not enough depth, and I really wish the script was different. They add some more development instead of like the cheap one we got. Alright, now let's talk about the biggest issue, the Dark Phoenix storyline. In the comics, this is one of the most emotional, complex arcs in Marvel history. It's about power, identity, love, and loss. But here, it's rushed, and Jean sometimes speaks a bit, and then suddenly just goes to Dark Phoenix mode. It's just like bad how Fox was like doing this, and it just barely feels like a movie. It is wasted, it's a bad script, and really awful way of how it's done. Now, there's some credit I do like. There was some pretty good action sequences, and I do like the Golden Gate Bridge sequence, like when Magneto lifts the bridge. That is really amazing of that steady CGI. It just never gets old. And the final battle in Alcatraz is very big and chaotic. So many mutants versus like the X-Men. It's like, even though just as various nobodies we barely know, it's just the movie tried to do something pretty cool, but sadly it doesn't hit as hard as everything. The movie tries to juggle with so many stuff: the mutant identity, the civil rights stuff, love and sacrifice, and war between mutants and humans, and because of none of that has emotional depth. The pacing feels so rushed, the major character moments happen so fast in a lightning bolt, and some decisions feel downright shocking because they're bold and because they're undeveloped. And the last scene is pretty emotional, mainly thanks to Wolverine and Jean. And that last scene, like, after when, like Wolverine confronts Jean, he unalives her, and it's just, Jean just passes. I mean, I know, like, the emotional, like, the supposed relationship with these two, it tried to do something good, but in the end, it just downright failed. So when this movie came out in 2006, while it was pretty good at the box office, for the fans, it's really mixed and negative. It's still one of the most divisive X-Men movies of all time. Not because of the storyline, but how it was treated. Fans were really disappointed of how, like, this character in the films were. And I was just like, it was just a real missed opportunity. Two incredible storylines that really should have been two separate movies. It was just like a pivotal point in the franchise. This movie showed that bigger doesn't mean better, and rushing major storyline arcs can hurt the movie in an impactful way. And it's a lesson that future Marvel movies would take seriously. So in conclusion, X-Men The Last Stand had all its pieces for a legendary finale, but struggled to bring them all together. It still remains one of the most talked about entries in Marvel's early history. Because on the road to Avengers Doomsday, even the most controversial chapters can shape what's next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give a like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments below. Do you think X-Men The Last Stand is overrated or a really missed opportunity? And I'll see you in the next part as we continue the road to Avengers Doomsday. Be safe and be good people.